Alrighty. Can you hear us, Threnan?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You're a little loud.
Alright. Oh, 1 second. Is that any better?
No.
Alright. Let me see if I can figure something out here.
No, you're good. You're good. You just work on that while I do the intro. Okay.
Alright.
Hello and welcome. It is Monday, October 12th, 2015. I'm your host, Rashivi. Alongside me is my partner, Threnan. As always, also alongside me is today's guest, and he has no gamer pseudonym, so we'll just call him Cody. This is episode 3 of the Q-Popped podcast. We are currently in week 15 of Warlords Season 2, and the current catch-up cap is 22,700. Title cutoffs if the season ended this week is rank 1 2697, Gladiator will be 2500, that is the top 0.5%, Duelist, which is the top 3%, 2126 rated, Rival 1844, and Challenger, which is top 35%, 1549. So let's get right into this week of esports for World of Warcraft. We had nothing go on until yesterday, and then we had a whole bunch of stuff. Yesterday we had the ESL 3v3 tournament, and it didn't end with a champion because the stream cut off and they had to finish it later. But you should go back and watch. We'll post it in the stream, and if you're listening to the recording, we'll post in the comments to check out one of the games. It was Toxic Youth versus Malfoy, which was a mirror match of Turbocleave, and which is Warrior Enhancement Shaman Resto Druid. It was Botar, who actually is on one of the Solari gaming teams. They used to go by the team name Toxic Youth, and then for BlizzCon, they go by the name Solari Gaming. The other team, Malfoy, they competed in some of the qualifiers, didn't actually make the BlizzCon, but if you've ever heard of the Shaman Jamie Hex, it's his Turbocleave. So it was one of the best games I've ever seen in a tournament. It was very short. I think it was 3 minutes,
was.
and the clip was a minute. Super Tees casted it. It was a cross kill on both of the healers. Both the druids died at the same time. And then the Malfoy's warrior died at the same time that Toxic Youth shaman died. So then we had a 1v1 versus a warrior and a shaman, and then Toxic Youth their warrior got a clutch shockwave and won that 1v1. So we don't have the results for the tournament, but that was awesome. One of the best things I've ever seen. I'll play a little clip of it right now, just so you guys can hear late into this game.
He's got the NS. He's going to be able to stabilize here shortly. Triple shockwave. Maybe he's not going to make it. He's in execute range. Cross kill. Die by the sword out from both warriors. And now this is literally a 2v2 situation between these teams. Die by the swords are fading. Shaman raids are falling down. And the damage isn't going to stop. Both teams down at 38%. Trying to stabilize. But Swapsy's caught to the charge stun. Into execute range. Healing Surge comes out. Blizzo's in execute range. But he lands the shockwave. Rallying Cry comes out. Drogo's going to fall down. And Jamie's Rallying Cry is going to fall, and somehow I think Toxic Youth are going to take this. Joe goes for the regen heal. He's trying to heal back up, lands the shockwave, and takes the game. And Toxic Youth are going to...
Wow, what a game. It was really incredible. A lot of fun. Most fun that I've had watching a game in a long time. And I happened to come in right after that, and he posted it on YouTube, and thought it was great. The other thing, you watched this too, Thrainin, was the GCD TV Battle for Gilneas 6v6 finals. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. They had a little tournament, and Battle for Gilneas, if you're not familiar with PvP, I hope you played a few Battlegrounds, but if you haven't, it is a 3-base capture the flag, capture the base. You hold 3 bases. Usually the team who holds 2 wins. It's normally a 10v10 format in Rated Battlegrounds. This was a 6v6. They made it a little bit smaller, so I think it made it a lot of fun. What did you think about that?
That was insane. I've never seen 2 stacked teams like that. I mean, everybody at the top of the arena ladders were there basically, and it was insane.
And it was really cool. They always had one at Lighthouse, one at Mine. And in that particular series, everybody thought that they would hold the 2 rogues. They can both stealth. They have a lot of control. That was the caster's guess at who would stay at those 2 bases, and then they would have a 5v5 situation at one of the bases. And whoever took that first, I mean, they won every single time. So there wasn't any big comebacks or anything like that. But it actually ended up being the Warlocks that stayed there. 2 cloth-wearing, very squishy casters. I guess they're not terribly squishy, but two casters just stayed there, and the rogues went in. And I think it was because the rogues were the best players on their team.
Right.
Because it was Peekaboo on Rogue who made it to BlizzCon.
Yep.
And then it was ABN was the other rogue, and he's the best known Rated Battleground player probably in the world. And
yeah, pretty close.
They ended up winning. ABN's team won. But before we talk about the results, we want to give a big shout out to D Machine, aka David Hollings. He is the man behind GCD TV. He makes all those tournaments happen. They're extremely high quality. There's nothing really to complain about, except for if they have some kind of lag or disconnects or DDoS or something like that. On their end, everything is top notch, and that guy is great. And his fiance is Clutter, I believe. They're both on Twitter. You can follow them. I think it's Clutter_GCDTV, and D Machines is DMachine52. I think is his Twitter. I didn't have it wrote down, but I think that's his Twitter name. And he casted. He was one of the casters. The other caster was old Sony Digital. And he is a very handsome man. And everybody always talks about that at every time. He's always got his hair done real nice. You know, he lifts. He's a really good looking guy. He's one of the guys that you want to be representing World of Warcraft, because when people talk about World of Warcraft, of course they talk about not that. They talk about something that looks probably more like I do. but he's a good looking guy, and he also streams. You can find him. I think his stream is twitch.tv/sdigital, and if you Google Sony Digital Twitter, you'll find his Twitter. His name is also Michael Sherman. So we're talking about game pseudonyms, and I've got Cody here beside me. I doubt he has one, though. His last name is really cool. His last name's Lightner. Lightner. That would be a pretty cool game name. So
I would definitely use it.
he could totally go with that. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, the finals of the 6v6 tournament was kind of the Arena Masters versus the RBG Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had on Team SS6 was Absur, really famous Boomkin, Zaryu, really famous mage, and ABN, known for being a mage, but he played rogue during this, and they were touting him as the best rogue in the world, and for RBGs anyway, even though he doesn't even compete at a high level in the 3v3 setting. The other team was Tempo's Santos. You might recognize that name if you're listening, because Tempo Storm is the team that made it to the World Championship Finals in BlizzCon in Anaheim next month. And that was, of course, Jamili, Peekaboo, Elite. And I believe this ended up being a mirror match, which is kind of odd considering there's 6 players. It's not too odd to see a mirror match in 3v3, but with so many players, I thought we might see a little bit of variety, but it was pretty much the same classes, give or take a few, which was Mage, Rogue, Shadow Priest, Warlock, and the 2 healers were Resto Druid and Holy Paladin. I believe they couldn't have any tanks, and they had to only have 2 healers.
They had a Mistweaver Monk too.
Oh yes, oh yeah. So it wasn't a mirror match.
6-6,
There was
yeah.
a mirror match in the would have been the semifinals.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was Mistweaver and not a Resto Druid, and I believe they killed that Resto Druid a lot.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was. Yeah, he died a lot. So we'll move on to the next segment before we bring in our guest. And I think this was your topic, so
Yes.
I'll let you start it off anyway. Go ahead.
Okay. So last week we were talking about 3v3s and 2v2s and stuff like that, and the topic of ladders came up. So in my guild, we have a couple of new players that aren't really into competitive scene yet, and asked me what a ladder was. So
you
we
told him it's the
explained-
thing you step on and you climb up, right? And so you can paint
Essentially.
like ceilings and stuff like that?
I explained a little bit what it was.
Huh.
Um,
Well, I don't know what it is, so you're going to have to explain it to me.
okay. Well, every time you do a rated battleground, a rated 2v2, 5v5, whatever, you'll get points. You'll start out usually like really low, and then the higher up you go, the more wins you get, the higher CR you get. And the higher CR you get, the higher up the ladder you go. And the ladder qualifies you for tournaments and stuff that you can do with Blizzard and stuff like that. And you can also get ranks, and then it goes by season. So right now we're in season 2, which means eventually it'll end, and then it'll start all over again. So basically all it is a ranking system. Right now for 3v3, I think the highest rated one is 29, 25, something like that. And that is insanely high, because I believe to qualify to go to like the tournaments and stuff, you need like 2,500, something like that.
Yeah, you had to have at least 2,500. Yeah, the top player right now is Gorecki. We saw him in some of the tournaments in the North American. He's 29, 23, and he is a Resto Druid. And I think I maybe hit on this last week, but a lot of times you'll see in that very top spot, and maybe the top 2 spots, you'll usually see a healer, just because, I mean, they have a lot easier access getting on the team. No, that's not always the case. I've seen Vanguards, he's been top before. I've seen Sea-Doo, he's a healer. I've seen him top before. I've seen Vinruki top before. And but a lot of times you will see a healer right at the very top. And yeah, you said we're in season 2, but that's season 2 of Warlords of Draenor. We're actually on season,
Like 15, 16, something like that.
yeah, I think it's 2016, 15. It's been going on since, I think, 2007 was the first season?
Yeah, Burning Crusade. So,
I just remember that the first season that I started playing was season 2, the very first season. The first season that I got kind of high, I got Duelist, which is top 5%. I got that in season 3. Then I remember in season 8 I did really good. Season 12 and 13 I did really good. And then last season I did pretty good. And this season I'm doing pretty good. But so I've been keeping track of it by seasons. But then last season they introduced a thing, so it's going to be like every year or every expansion, they're going to make it season 1, 2, and 3 instead of just continuing, because I guess I didn't want to have season 28. I thought that would be too hard for people to keep up with. But so our regions, North America, it's really easy to root for those guys because we see them stream and we can speak the same language as them. There are some Latin American teams that are in the North American,
yes.
but a lot of those guys speak English too, so it's pretty easy. Then Europe, of course we follow the ESL, which is a European Star League, and a lot of those guys speak English too, but they're on a totally different time zone, so unless you wake up at 6 in the evening, which I know a lot of people that do that, but unless you wake up at that time, you're probably not going to see them stream. And in the Asian teams, there is an Asian qualifier, and we never know anything about it. They never...
Right, it's like completely shadowed. So
they don't even tweet about it or anything. They just show up to BlizzCon, and like last year, I think they got second. Or no, they got third. No, there were 2 European teams in the first and second. And then they got like third. Nobody had ever heard of them. Coding is the only person that I can think of that's from an Asian team. And I think it's like Chinese, they don't really monitor them as hard as they do North America. You'll see a lot of players get banned for cheating or account sharing or doing some of the stuff that Blizzard Entertainment finds unsavory. When you look at the Chinese ladder, you can kind of tell that there's some cheating going on, because they will be like 218-0, and they have they've won 218 games without losing any, and then the top teams will all be like that. So there's some obvious win trading going on. Korea, like a lot of esports, is the only region that I ever really see anything go on.
Yeah,
the StarCraft and League of Legends kings,
Yeah, and it's funny with StarCraft. It's when they talk about tournaments, it's the best team that's not Korean.
Yeah, always. And they call foreigners. So we think of foreigners, Cody. You're right here. We think of foreigners as anybody that doesn't live in the United States.
Correct.
But even when United States casters are talking about like StarCraft or League of Legends, when they talk about foreigners, they mean everyone outside of Korea. So there's the Koreans, and then there's the non-Koreans. So everybody in Europe and everybody in North America. We're the foreigners because we very rarely bring home trophies in any games except for WoW. And in the last year, it was the Europeans that took home a tournament. But the Koreans are good. They had Orange Marmalade, was really good for a long time. Everybody knows that name. He was a Korean. So he's about the only popular Korean that I can think of. But you got anything else on that subject? I have one more thing, but I'll let you go ahead.
No, I believe that's about it. So go ahead, do what you're gonna do.
Okay, so we'll kind of talking about this ladder and this like esports thing for noobs. Which you're a noob. I don't know if you know this.
I guess I am.
Yeah, you are a noob.
Yes, so good to know.
Yeah,
I've been called a lot of things. Now a noob.
Yeah, you're now a noob.
Not a nude, but a noob.
So several years ago, and I showed you before we started this tonight, I showed you StarCraft. That was really kind of complex game.
Right.
So we had a thing at in Stillwater, which is where Oklahoma State is. It's a great big college town. There's lots of college people there. They have a gamers club. It's the biggest club on campus now. There's a little pub in Stillwater called Finnegan's. Have you been there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So we held what we called a barcraft at the time.
Nice.
And we had on the TVs, a couple of the TVs, we had our own little section. There was like 30, 40 people there. And I was the one who kind of managed that thing. And we had on TV, it was the BlizzCon or MLG or whatever it was. It was some giant StarCraft tournament.
Right.
And all these people came. And one of my friends mentioned to me that watchability goes along with drinkability. So if you can drink while you're talking about it and watching it, I think that makes it a lot easier. Or if you could eat with it, you could do something else. It makes it a lot easier. Make it an event. Make it a party, whether you're drinking or not. And so we're going to do that.
Perfect.
You did that last year.
Yeah.
You came to BlizzCon. It was
Yes.
the first time ever seeing anything like that.
True.
It was actually on pay-per-view on DirecTV.
True.
And we're going to do it again in just a few weeks. 3 weeks, I think, is this year's tournament. It'll be a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
I think for like world championships, it's really easy to find a team to root for. Because you're like, yeah, what country is he from? Oh,
yeah.
they're from America. Of course, USA, USA.
Right.
We
right.
love it.
Yes.
So, we don't want those pesky Europeans to win, even though I like a lot of their players. But it's a lot easier, to say these guys are from the U.S. and root for them.
Yeah, get behind those guys.
Yeah. So I guess I'll move right into our interview, since you are our guest, Mr. Cody.
Oh, outstanding.
And you are a non-player of all video games, basically, right?
Absolutely.
You played a few. I know you do have an Xbox at your house. I
Yes.
was your neighbor for a while.
True. This is true.
So
yes.
what games have you played?
More or less, I just set the dance games up for the girls so that they can play them. I was pretty solid at Duck Hunt a few years ago on the Nintendo.
That's been a little more than a few years, I think.
Just soon you not date me right here, okay? Maybe I did it myself.
Okay.
Whatever, it's old. Mario Brothers. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
Not an educated man as far as that. No.
So you're in your 30s. You're not terribly
No,
old
no.
or anything. You're
Early
young-
to mid 30s.
young chicken, young spring
Right,
chicken.
Right.
So so I guess I have to move on. So how did you feel watching some of that stuff last year? Was it entertaining to you, or was it just you have no idea what's going on? There's
Well,
no way to get behind it? Or?
At the very first, it was difficult, to understand. And had I been there just watching it by myself, would have really struggled. Having somebody, that really understands it and can break it down to someone in a simple term that makes it make sense to me, made it interesting.
Right.
Then it was able to, understand what was going on and kind of get behind one team or the other, at least, be able to see what's going on.
Right. And so you're not an esports fan necessarily, but
No.
you're a sports fan.
Absolutely.
You do know a lot about sports. You watch football, you watch
Yes.
basketball, you watch baseball.
Big sports fan.
And so when you have somebody to root for, it makes it a lot better.
Oh,
And,
for sure.
So
Watching a game that you have no vested interest in is just a game. Watching a game that your team is playing, very interesting.
So for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, we have Dave Hunziker. He casts all that stuff, and
Yes.
he's very vibrant, and he's like these casters on esports. And at the end, we're the Cowboys, so he'll yell, "Pistols firing, touchdown, Oklahoma State!" Everybody gets excited. So how much of an impact do you think that casters make on a game like World of Warcraft?
Oh, a very big impact. I mean, especially for somebody that struggles to really keep up with the game because, it's a very fast-paced game, so much going on, so much happening so fast that with just me watching it is totally different than with a sportscaster that is explaining it, especially with high intensity, makes it much more exciting to me.
So as he started that sentence, I turned on the little clip that we listened to earlier, which was the mirror match from this weekend, and with no sound, even to me who plays the game and I understand a lot, I mean, it's sort of boring, like without those casters behind it, without them to give you some kind of direction of where to look and who to root for and when to be excited and when not to be excited, because even if you are a player of World of Warcraft, you might not be a PvPer, you might not do arena, you might not know all the ins and outs of every single class like we do. You know what? You might not be a total junkie for that kind of stuff. And I think it's the same way in football. So I have a couple of fans, like, for instance, you're a Sooners fan and an Oklahoma
True,
State fan,
true.
K-State fan. So
Yes.
you know a lot about all of their players in
Oh,
college
absolutely.
football, but you're not going to know everything about Duke's players.
No.
You're not going to be able to follow all that stuff. So it's really important for those casters to kind of get in there and give you some analysis during the game and after the game and on the breaks and tell you
yeah.
what's going on. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
That's very true. I mean, and even like rodeo. I've rodeoed all my life. Went to college for it, but unless you really know what to look for, it's a terrible, terrible, boring sport. You really don't know what's going on. But somebody that really points out, watch for this. There can be some excitement to somebody that doesn't enjoy rodeo.
yeah, and I don't know anything about it, but I have sat and watched you do some of it, especially you're a team roper.
Yeah, correct.
And which is so. Why don't you explain what team roper is?
Team roper is just 2 ropers, 2 horses, 1 steer. Header and his horse go out, rope the steer by the horns. Heeler comes in, ropes the steer by the heels. Time stops when they face each other. But without somebody really to point out, watch these guys because how they do it, it's pretty boring real fast.
And it's very quick too.
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah,
are very quick.
exactly.
What
4 to
rounds-
5
what do they call
seconds.
them, rounds.
Yeah, you catch, you move to the next round. You miss, you're done. But you could go to something and watch hundreds and hundreds of teams, and it just drags on and on. But if you really know what to watch for, or if you have somebody building it up, putting some sort of excitement and intensity to it, as an announcer or a caster would do, that definitely makes it more exciting.
I think that's really important, and I think that one thing that the casters in this game don't do particularly well is they don't just sit back and tell you who are the damage dealers and who are the healers, because I think that's super important, because they'll show when they're in crowd control, which is whenever somebody has stopped them from doing something, so they're stunned or they have been feared, and it makes them unable to use their character for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 8 seconds, so they can't do anything. And while they're moving around not being able to do anything, the other team is just killing one of their guys. Right. And I think it's really important to know who is the healer.
Yeah.
And if you want to bring that up, I think that those basic topics, who's the healer, who's the damage dealers, and whether they're a melee, close range in your face, going to try to burst down the game within a minute, or if they're 2 ranged casters who are going to slowly rot down the team and make it turn into a really long game. So I think all that's really important. They don't really hit on the basics as much as I wish they would, because I know a lot of people see, twitch.tv/Warcraft is streaming. I PvE and I do all these big raids and stuff, and maybe I'll be interested in that. And they'll go in there and they don't really understand anything. Maybe they play 10 games in Arena and that's all they have. So do you have any questions for Cody there, Thrainin?
Not really, actually. I've been trying to think of some way you guys were talking, and I've got nothing.
Gave you like 10 minutes, man.
No
You
worries.
gotta think of something.
No
What's your
worries.
favorite color? Something, man.
Then he'd stump me because I'm not even sure.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
I mean, hell, who knows?
Oh, boy.
So yeah, like I said, we will be having a big old thing at my house for BlizzCon, and I think I'm probably the only one. There might be one other person who actually plays actively in Arena. Now there are a couple people that are coming that have played in the past, maybe 10 seasons ago, or maybe 3 seasons ago, or maybe they played the game but they never actually played Arena, or if they did, it wasn't very high because they weren't very good, which is fine. And maybe they're coming to watch, and I think it is an event, and I think more people need to get behind that and push that, and make these kind of barcraft things, and we always talk about League of Legends as being the pinnacle of esports, but honestly, as somebody who's never played it, I tried to show Cody several games, and I showed him League of Legends, and it's you can kind of figure it out. There's obviously these team fights and stuff where they're fighting each other, and that part's easy to figure out, but everything else is like,
The game as a whole was totally over my head.
yeah, what the hell is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah, I mean,
know
I
the
couldn't
basics,
grasp
and
it.
That's about it.
Yeah, I couldn't grasp it.
In
yeah.
StarCraft, same thing. You start with, one guy's got an army, the other guy's got an army, he's got a scout. You've got to build up these big armies and then eventually fight each other. It doesn't have a lot of watchability. And then there's games like Counter-Strike, a shooter. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
They follow the camera on one guy.
Yeah.
You can watch how fast it is. It's real simple, kind of deathmatch. I think WoW is kind of in that because it's just 3 guys trying to kill each other. There's no other objectives going on. A lot of people bitch about that, and they think that we should do the battlegrounds because it's got a flag capture, or it's got a base hold, or it's got these kind of things, and I think that stuff is really great for people that play the game a lot, know a lot about the game, and can do these more intricate analysis and descriptions and make it more fun. But I think for people that don't play too much, or have maybe taken a break for the game to go play, Blade and Soul, or Overwatch is coming out, or maybe they play Counter-Strike now, but they still want to watch the game, but they don't keep up with the current meta and all the classes and all the comps that are good. I think it's a pretty good game in 3v3 because it's pretty easy to see the health bars on your left side of your screen. That's one team. They're all going down, and then you see your health bars on the right side of the screen. They're going down. And as long as the casters can keep up with that, and that's why I think it's really important they have two casters. And a lot of video games do this, and a lot of sports do this too. You'll have one guy who is like the shout guy.
Yes.
He will hype that stuff up. He's at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, touchdown!
Yeah.
And then you'll have the other guy afterwards, and he'll really talk about the intricacies of why that was important and how he did that, how the defense read that, how they tricked one another, and that's really important in esports as well, is to have those two really diverse casters.
And that
Right.
go ahead. I was just going to say
No,
that makes sense to me because I don't know why I said go ahead and then you started and then I
Yeah,
started
go
at the
ahead.
top of you, but that makes sense to me as somebody that I can watch. Say I have a vested interest in the team that I'm behind. I can watch their bars, and even though as they're starting to go down, somebody can explain to me exactly why they're going down, what's happening. The intensity from one guy is getting me really excited, and the other guy's explaining what's really happening. So you go ahead now.
Like what was it? NA, the regionals and stuff for qualifying to BlizzCon. You had Lore and you had Benruki going play by play. I mean, hyping it up. This guy's doing this and this guy's doing this. Oh hell, he's CC'd, and then they died. And then you had, when the match was over, you had Bajira breaking it down step by step. This is what happened. This is why they won.
Speaking of Bajira, you might hear some mouse clicks here, because I'm going to Google Bajira. I've showed this to Cody
Uh-oh.
before, who he is.
Yeah.
But this guy's great for the game.
Yes.
When a guy wins the Muscle Beach competition that Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger won,
Yeah.
I think it's really good for your video game.
Oh, for
You
sure.
need to, and he's never like played in a tournament or anything. He's a
Right.
really good player.
Yeah.
But he's not like a pro. You can't call him a pro. He's never played in a tournament or anything like that. Aside from that, I think Blizzard made an excellent decision to put him on the analyst desk. Though when he does wear a suit, just like when Deion Sanders wears a suit,
Yeah.
I think they should just put him in a goddamn tank top.
Yeah,
So you can
exactly.
show off how big they are.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
especially for a game like this, Deion Sanders, he's a big dude and whatever. Bajira, you just won't know that, and he doesn't look that tall or anything. He doesn't look that big on camera with a suit and stuff. I think they need to just put him out there shirtless and just show the ladies how good he is. In fact, put his fiance out there because she's gorgeous too, and she knows a lot about the game too. Just put them out there in their lifting gear. And let's
You're just
let's
saying
go.
let the sex appeal sell.
Yeah, I think so. I think whatever people like, just give them what they like. Give them loud noise and pretty girls, and the whole world will be happier.
Absolutely.
Oh, and beer.
And
And
beer.
speaking of beer, we did never do our beer of the week. I do it usually at the beginning of the cast, but I wanted to let Cody do this because we got two beers. And so our beer of the week is the Original Chalk 1919 American Wheat beer. It's actually an American Pale Wheat Ale, but it tastes nothing like a IPA. It tastes nothing like a Pale Ale. Beer Advocate gives it a 78, which I think is pretty good. It's my favorite wheat beer. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
I like it. I think it's an excellent beer also. Wheat beer is some of my favorite beer, and this is right up there with some of the best. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9 out of 10 also.
Great. And I almost gave it a 10, but I thought, what if I do get a 10 one of these days that I really want to shout out there? I didn't even give Optimator, which is my favorite beer. I
yes.
drink a lot of that stuff.
Yes.
I only gave it a 9 out of 10, so I don't think I could give anything else.
You got to hold out and wait for that perfect beer.
Okay. So last week we had a bunch of drama from the European League. I don't know if you heard any of this.
I did. I listened to nearly all of it last week.
Yeah,
the drama intrigued me. I didn't really understand, especially at that point, everything that you guys were saying with the ins and outs or whatever, but just the drama of, a team being disqualified that late into it, intrigued me wanting to learn more, I guess.
And yeah, it blew everybody's minds away. And everybody was pissed, and I think everybody still is pissed. But we're on the internet, so everybody has the attention span and the memory of a cat, so they've all forgotten about it probably by now, or they at least will by BlizzCon, and which is a shame because I love Blizzard and I love this game and I love everything that they are trying to do, but I think that they should get something for their mistakes and admit it at least, and they didn't there, which is a shame. But so Infurion, who was on Zonika's team, which is one of the teams that got disqualified last week, he posted a big old long thing on Arena Junkies, and I'm just going to read through some of it. I didn't pick every paragraph, but I picked a couple paragraphs. I'm just going to read it off kind of word for word of what he said. So let me take a drink of my beer and take a breath, and I will let you guys know what happened. So Infurion was the Warlock on their team, and Zonika was the healer, the Holy Paladin on their team. And this is what Infurion wrote. When we arrived at the hotel Thursday, Zonika told our team that he had received an email by Blizzard saying that he had gotten a 72-hour suspension on his account for account sharing, which put his account in bad standing for the weekend. Remembering that he had logged on his own account from his girlfriend's computer earlier in that week, he asked his girlfriend to check her email as well. And just as expected, she had also received a warning and what I believe was a message saying she would be ineligible to receive any titles this season. And then this was the day of the tournament, so he had a little post about the day before they were practicing, and they let Blizzard know that they got this message, and they really wanted to be proactive about it and see if there were any issues. And the admin said they thought everything was going to be fine. And then he posts, this is the day of, around 11:45, 15 minutes before we were scheduled to play, the top Blizzard employee present came to tell us that Zonika could possibly be disqualified from the tournament. We tried to explain to him the issue and that it was all just a big misunderstanding, since none of us had been boosting or trying to carry other people to high rating by playing their account and selling that for money in the period between the first qualifier and regionals. He was super stubborn on the matter, but wanted to make sure no actions were taken that would punish an innocent team, so he decided to double check. 5 minutes before we were supposed to play, Blizzard confirmed that Zonika, the Holy Paladin on the team, was indeed disqualified, and his pro player badge was confiscated and he was escorted out the arena. He wasn't even allowed to stay in the arena and watch his team and everyone else play. I think it's bad form for an account sharing. He logged on his account at a girlfriend's place. Bad standing, if this is all true. After several players' failed attempts at challenging the decision that was made, including our opponents, Faywin, who was the Freldred on the team they were about to play, Sokin, Waffles, and Pyrocta, we realized that nothing could be done. At this time, me, Frostfee, who was, I believe, the Shadow Priest, and Livin, the mage on their team, was pretty demotivated and mad, and Frostfee and Livin didn't even want to try to compete, which I fully understand, because they didn't have their healer. We did, however, go through the options we had, and due to Livin not wanting to set up his druid, we decided for me to set up a Holy Paladin to play Shatter, which is God Comp, which is Holy Paladin Shadow Priest, Mage, which I have never played before. So
Oh man, you're missing out.
I'm thinking, no, he said which I've never played before.
Oh,
Before
My
that
bad.
tournament. Now, I've not really played one either, but if I went to play one right now, even at my high rank, and I'm not like pro rank, but I'm duelist rating, I wouldn't be able to win one game. I would have no idea what the hell I was doing at least for 20 or 30 games. Blizzard gave me 20 minutes to do this, which again, you would have no way to get ready for a class you've never played and just jump on it with 30, 40 key bindings that you have to hit on your keyboard. Which, and this is inferior on saying this again, meaning I forgot to bind abilities like Execution Sentence, which is one of the biggest abilities that Holy Paladins have. If you didn't have that, it would basically be like chopping your own arm off and you're the pitcher. So, probably not so good. And then he goes on to say, obviously their team was not satisfied with this decision and tried to challenge it with no luck. There was actually a lot of teams that tried to have the disqualified teams play in the tournament with no luck. The team that we played asked Blizzard admin if all the teams could vote for it, and they all have to agree, then they could go ahead and play. All those ideas were shut down. And he says, I just wanted to clear all this up as Blizzard seems to be trying to hide it, and which they pretty much have, because they have a lot of availabilities to come out with Twitter, with forum posts, with all this stuff. They could at least give their side of the story, so we knew, yes, this is true, and this is gonna bogus, or not. No, it's not true. So you can only assume the worst since they're not saying anything. And this is, if NFL decided to disqualify, half a team, or a third of a team, it'd be the same thing, because this. And I just think it's nuts that they're not coming out and saying anything. I think it's their tournament, it's their game, it's their right to disqualify or ban whoever they want. But if they're going to try to make this an esports and they're going to have these big prize pools of $300,000, why wouldn't you at least come out and try to justify yourself? But they probably just assume that trolls are going to be trolls and be mean anyway. So, do you have any thoughts on that matter?
it's stupid. Especially if it's just account sharing. If they were botting or boosting or whatever, that's understandable. But just logging on, it's stupid. There's no reason to do it whatsoever. Especially keep it hidden. Okay, like you were saying. At least make it so they have a side. The team has a side, and not just go, okay, they're disqualified, next team up.
Yeah, like we said last week, when the casters were up there, like Venruki was up there, and Lore and Vihel, if you weren't paying attention to what was going on in the brackets and stuff, you'd have never known. You'd have never known, because instead of just crossing out their team on the brackets, they showed that the other team had won, when in fact, they didn't win. They actually lost. And those teams ended up moving on and
One
going
of them went
on.
to BlizzCon.
Yeah, one of them actually qualified and made it. So
Yeah, that was it, 3 languages.
Yeah, it was the Bullet Cleave, the Feral Druid,
Yep.
Holy Paladin, and Death Knight. And which I'm happy that, Feral Druid, which I play, made it. But you know what? They lost. They probably shouldn't have made it. I think the teams that got disqualified were the 2 favorites to win that tournament, get first and second, and probably, one of them was at least probably favorite to win the whole damn thing. And a lot of people said that before. So
Reawakened was probably going to take the entire damn thing.
And some of them ended up playing in last week's ESL tournament. They're still streaming. I kind of worried that some of them would be mad and just quit forever and go get a real job. And I don't mean a real job. They were doing successful what they did, but I would say, screw this. I'm out of here. I'm not screwing with this stuff anymore. And maybe they stay a streamer and they just go play a different game or something, try to learn something else. But when you put so much time, they said they were practicing 4 to 6 hours a day, every single day for that stuff, taking all their time. And that was off stream, a lot of it. So they would stream, in front of people and try to make their money and try to make their living, and then they would go practice to work on specific strats so people couldn't watch it. That's nuts.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, Blizzard still hasn't come out and said anything.
I think they did
They are-
it poorly, very poorly.
Yeah.
I still support them, and it is their decision to not say anything, but I think it's the wrong decision. So I didn't really have much else for the week. I think we got about 10 minutes left. We did start a little bit
Yeah.
late, so we'll keep going. I was trying to harken back to a time when the game was a little bit probably more complicated, and I had written down that DPS casters, like a mage, used to go and warlocks used to go They went out of mana, so they literally could not cast any more abilities. They had to run up and hit somebody with a staff and hit them for, like tickle damage, never kill them. And I kind of forgot that had happened, because now it's like
Yeah.
healers sometimes go very, very rarely, but nobody else does. So, I guess I had a question for you. What are the 3 most hated? I saw this on Arena Junkies, and I think I saw it on the forums. What are the 3 most hated specs? Which specs, if you don't know? So there's all these classes. There's 11 classes. They're all broken up between 3 different specializations. So like a shaman can be a healer, they can be a caster, or they can be a melee damage. Not all of them are that broken up, but a lot of them are. So what are your 3 most hated specs?
My 3 most hated, like to play or to go up against?
To play against as a
Okay.
healer, as a holy paladin.
Any kind of mage. It doesn't matter the spec. I hate fighting mages. They have so much CC that I can't break out of.
So they just shut you
Um,
down, and you can't do anything for the whole game. So they have a
Right.
skill called Polymorph that literally turns you into a sheep for 8 seconds. They can spam it 3 times. Each time they cast it on you, it cuts in half. So it's
Yeah.
8 seconds, 4 seconds, 2 seconds. And then there's a little period called diminishing returns where they can't do that for about, it's 20-something seconds, I think. They
Yeah,
can't CC you.
but
But
then-
then they get to get you again for 14 seconds. They get to shut you down. And somebody can kill somebody in 14 seconds.
Oh yeah, you can kill somebody super fast.
Okay.
It didn't even take that long most of the time.
So we'll put Frost Mage is number 1 because they're Frost Mages, and that's all
Yeah,
you
Frost
really
mages
see.
have
Okay.
so much crowd control. It's insane.
So number 2?
Probably a Demonology Warlock. Because they are so freaking tanky. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you burst, you will not kill them.
Yeah, I
Especially-
never go on them first target. Ever.
Yeah, ever. Most of the time, I avoid them completely.
But then they have the biggest burst in the game in 1 second.
Yep.
They have this spell that they cast. It's called Chaos Bolt. It's about 3.5 second long cast, super long cast. But if it hits you, it's going to hit you for nearly half your health. If they do it twice, you're dead.
And that's without it critting.
Well, no, it's 100% chance crit.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of, wow, what am I thinking? I don't even remember. Okay, now that
So-
just embarrassed myself.
So third class, or third spec.
That's a tough one. I'm just gonna not say healers because healers just that's just kind of there. But probably a enhancement shaman.
Oh, enhancement shell.
Yeah.
Is it just because of the purges, they can take off all your abilities all at once?
Yeah.
Or?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Because they have their main cooldown. It's a minute cooldown. It's ancestral something. Ancestral rage? No.
Which one?
I'm bad with. It's their damage buff.
Oh, yeah, Ancestral
The one that-
Guidance.
Say what?
Ancestral Guidance.
That's the one. Okay. Yeah, you have a minute to basically avoid them, because they will kill you. And it's probably.
And Ascendance is their other ability.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Ascendance. Ooh. But yeah, I just don't like enhancement shamans. They will tear me apart.
Well, my 3 are Warrior, because for some stupid fucking reason, they always kill me. And even when I'm doing like really low rated stuff and I'm carrying people for gold and doing that type of stuff, so I'm playing really not very good warriors. Like they're just not very good players in general. They're not very experienced. They're really low rated, and everybody else in that bracket I can just destroy. Warriors will just hit with their face. They will actually roll it across the keyboard, hit every button, and then follow me, and I will die. And I really can't do anything to stop it. And so then I think rogues are really hard for me to, because I'm a feral druid, any kind of stunts. They're really stealthy and they can get away 600 times. And they hit evasion. They can't be hit for 8 seconds. They can do that twice. And then mages for me too, but not for the CC, just because of the kind of unpredictable bursts that they have. And they hit those 2 ice novas, just go bam, bam, hit one button twice in a row. You're pretty much dead. It's instant cast. I don't really have to do anything else. And outside of that, they don't have a lot of damage, but that's really hard to counter and really hard to predict. So, okay. I think we're pretty much done for the week. I know this one was a little bit short since we started late. But, yeah. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Twitter is Thranin1, and now I can actually spell my name, so that's exciting. THREANIN and the number 1.
Okay, that's your Twitter.
Yep, that's my Twitter.
You can also find me on Twitter at Raishiwi. Twitch, obviously, if you're watching right now, it's going to be redundant, but twitch.tv/Raishiwi. Our SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/Q-popped-podcast. Also, if you just search in SoundCloud for the Q-Pop podcast, you'll find it. On YouTube, it's youtube.com/Raishiwi, as RAISHIWI. And then our email, if you have any questions, is qpopped@gmail.com. And I am happy to say that we had one email this week. And if your children are around, close their ears because it's going to be expletive. So Joseph Bennett sent us an email this week, and it said anal cream pie. So unless that is an acronym that has some sort of deeper meaning, that is for a while, I'm going to go ahead and say that we are happy to have our very first troll, and I think that's just wonderful. And I hope he sends us more if he's listening this week, because other than that, my inbox was fairly empty. And yeah, so yeah, go ahead and email us qpopped@gmail.com. Twitter is at Raishiwi or at qpopped if you want to go to the qpops deal. Twitch.tv/qpopped and then qpopped on SoundCloud. Don't forget to check out GCD TV's tournaments that they do. You can check out ESL's. I think it's playesl.gg. And then you can also listen to another brand new podcast that just came out for GCD TV called Q Up. Where do you think they got that name from? I don't know. Maybe he thought of it a long time ago and he just been holding it. Sounds an awful lot like ours.
Hey.
Oh well. So the last thing I have to announce is next week we will have on our show Elliot Vinruki Vincel, who is a BlizzCon champion, MLG champion, streamer, caster, and really great dude. I've even got a shirt, and we will have the little Down Goes stream next week for him. So if you have any questions for Vinruki, go ahead and email us or tweet us. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good week and enjoy your week in the World of Warcraft or outside of it. Just make sure to follow esports and sports alike. And we will see you next time on QPop. So queue up next Monday at 5:30 PST. And hopefully next week I'll remember time zones and I won't start the stream 1 hour early. So, yeah. Well, Cody,
Good one, guys.
want to say bye?
Bye-bye. Appreciate you guys.
All right. See you guys later.
in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for you. Won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through?